Successful qualifying run, and not only they're unbeaten in his 5 games, they are 5-0, and that will be put to the test today against Neymar and company.
Yeah, they are really shining in their recent form, and their own beautiful fans decorating this stadium, the ᴰsᴜsᴛrɪᴜ Stadium. And there's a man who spent a little bit of time in the United States as well, ᴰsᴜsᴛrɪᴜ. Out in San Francisco at the very start of his career, his stadium named after the great Ernie, and he had an amazing start to his career, played his games at Candlestick Park, if you can believe it, and it was the entire team that was representing the San Francisco Golden Gate Gales, they were called. Well, he's got his stadium named after him. He went on to be one of the greatest, probably the greatest coach Austria's ever produced. And here today, the next edition of what they are hoping to be a rebuilding process.
Class player in his own right, has played a more attacking role with his national team, but today he will be called on to defend. Good look at this stadium. The tifo gone, the field clearing, and just about ready for action. It's 3 in the back, Dragovic, Prödl, and Hinteregger. Liner on the right, Oliver on the left, and then Baumgartlinger, the captain, keep an eye on him. The Bayer Leverkusen midfielder with Marko Arnautovic, rather tempestuous striker up front.
That's an interesting other topic as well, Phil. Brazil will be facing a team with 3 at the back, as you say, and there's going to be a lot of teams at the World Cup this year that's going to go with 3 at the back. So, dress rehearsal of tremendous proportions. They're always having a laugh, them two.
There's Baumgartlinger, the tiny area of Matze near Salzburg, wearing the captain's armband. Miranda wearing the captain's band for Brazil. Victor Kasai, the referee from Hungary, 42-year-old from Tabanya. He reffed the 2011 Champions League final. Also was the referee at Brazil's match against North Korea back in World Cup 2010. And for a match the U.S. would have liked to have forgotten, against Ghana. Here's Brazil's starting lineup, and starting to get the feeling that Tite has an idea of what his 11 will be. But Roberto Firmino not in the lineup here today. Neymar will start in somewhat of a 4-4-2. And there are the benches. As you mentioned, Ray, you hear about groups of death, and we can get into the particulars a little bit later, but Austria, I guess, was a group of competence that led to their death. There were 4 teams that were fighting for 2 spots, and they ended up on the outside looking in. For Brazil, off to a horrible start in World Cup qualifying, but the arrival of Tite, and they have never looked back.
Well, you're right, Phil. Austrian
and we are underway. The ball rolled all the way back to Prödl. Austria in the red and white, the familiar yellow and blue of Brazil, attacking from the left. Phil Shane alongside Ray Hudson on an 80-degree day in Vienna, but Brazil might make it even hotter.
Nicely.
Heinz Lindner showing some footwork.
Heinz showing his 57 flavors there. Absolutely beautiful. The Brazilian fans will applaud that.
Arnautovic showing his foot skills here. Think of him like an Austrian Ibrahimovic with a little more attitude.
Easy, Phil, easy.
Maybe not the nose. Ball driven back. Talking about this in the pregame, just how difficult it was for Austria. Grouped with Serbia, Ireland, and Wales. They did have the minnows Georgia and Moldova, but it was a 4-way race for the top 2 spots.
Yeah, but it'll just show you that this team that finished behind Serbia Serbia were so impressive in their performances after a little bit of a dodgy start in the first game, playing a 2-2 draw against Republic of Ireland, but then after that they really started to get it together, and that Serbian team is the team Brazil will face last in their qualification, so it's a good group.
Thiago Silva a little woozy from that cross from Alaba. Here he comes again. The Bayern man to the near post, deflected but not controlled. Neymar tries to thread it out, but stepping up to win it back. Austria. Grealish. Back to Porto, the veteran now at Watford. Got his start at Sturm Graz.
This team, as we said, has been in scintillating form, and I'm not talking about the Canarinos. Lads in red have been very impressive, but this is their biggest test in their rebuilding process to get back. Of course, they've got the European tournament coming up, so this coach, Franco Foda, is looking in an experimental way, but this is the team that they're going to probably go with in the new European competition that's right round the corner after the World Cup. But they've never faced a dynamic like they're going to face today, and he, of course, is the Koh-i-Noor diamond. The great Neymar takes a bit of a rattle here, but it isn't on his foot. It's a little higher up, so he should be bouncing back. Not going to be playing the whole game. Tite has already said. Again, the feet continue to dance.
So they got swept out from under him. Hooked away on that play by Schopf. In some ways, it was nice to see him get on the scoreboard in the last match, Ray, but I have a feeling for Tite it was more getting hit and getting back up that was the concern.
That's right. Against Croatia, his team faced a very good Croatian team in my book. A lot of people disagree, that's okay. But I thought Croatia, one of the most energetic, high-pressing teams, and created a number of opportunities where they shoulda, coulda, woulda went ahead against Brazil. Neymar came on, and that was at a point where Croatia had pulled off a lot of their star players, and the goal from Neymar was typical Stardust football and an emphatic slingshot finish.
Arnautovic with a nice bit of footwork, dances through the midfield. Marco waiting, no polo.
And look at
Willian comes back to get it.
nice little advancing run from Grealish.
Down goes Gabriel Jesus, won back by Austria. And as we saw yesterday, even some of these non-qualifying minnows, in some ways this is their World Cup. Chance to get a little bit of a bragging right. United States did so against France with a 1-1 draw. Alaba threads it forward, cutting back Schlager. Dispossessed William.
And it overstayed. What a good job and good impression, and lovely football that from Brazil.
And switch to Marcelo.
Look at the space behind them. It's like 2 yards, and they'll play 3 passes in that confined area, and this is where it leads to. Beautiful. Magic.
Austria trying to pin them back, but now Brazil escapes. Jesus wide for William. Austria scrambling back quickly. Is 3 in the back with Dragovic and Hinteregger surrounding Prödl. Well, they do have the speed in Leiner and Alaba down the wings.
As I said, there'll be a lot of teams going with 3 at the back in this upcoming World Cup, and that is another good rehearsal for the Canarino to see what they can counter that with. It will be playing with their 4 at the back.
Dragovic almost
not many teams that have went with 3 at the back that actually won a World Cup, though, Phil. You've got to go back to the West Germany days, and they played with a sort of 3 at the back. So it's very adventurous, but you can just imagine 3 at the back against the likes of him. You're dicing with death. And that is amplified by the Liverpool when they played against Roma. three at the back got outdone by Liverpool's magic front three.
Austria fleet of foot, getting rid of it. Chipped over ශ්ලාඝ, though. Reclaimed by Brazil. With the three in the back, or five, if you will.
Yeah.
Especially with two holding midfielders in Baumgartlinger and Grilic. Is to be disruptive, though.
Sure. And, you know, you've got to play within that. But there's situations where the likes of Roma showed out how adventurous they can be coming out of three at the back. So it all depends. For me, it all depends on the individual players, the talent, no matter what formation you'll put up. You try to fit the formation in, to fit that, but when you've got players like this team in yellow have, and not just on the field, but on the bench, good luck. Deserved favourites in the World Cup, but can they win like they did against Sweden back in the Pelé days on foreign soil? Is the last team to do it from South America. Look out.
William to the inside, Casemiro, but wide of the post.
Lovely setup from William. Here's Casemiro calling for it. Gimme, gimme, gimme. How do you say that in Brazil, Phil? Wonderful strike. Just clips the outside of the netting with the final curve. Good vision from William. There's the spot. There's the delivery. There's the red-hot crack. Unlucky from the Real Madrid European champion, Casemiro. It's hard to believe he's just 26-year-old coming over from the great Sao Paulo. But seems as if he's been around a long time.
Up to the near side, William.
Nicely. Just
Hurdles two, but dispossessed. All the way back, and ɪռᴜnᴇrɪᴅʟ over. Launches it long, but Arnautovic off too early.
It's a good step up, both from Miranda and Thiago Silva, recognizing as soon as the ball gets in possession right here, you'll see they're holding the ground, and it's very, very close. But again, this is what these games are made for. It's being looked at, certainly from this wonderful coach, Leonardo Bacchi, that are known as Tite.
You think about it, from Austria, Arnautovic now 29. Alaba is still relatively young. He's 25, but generations have gone past since Austria was last in a World Cup back in 1998. Anyways, you have to go back 20 years earlier when they were actually challenging back in the days of Hansi Krankel and company.
You loved Krankel, didn't you? You loved him.
He was up there.
Ah, you loved him, Phil.
Bruno,
you loved him.
More of a Bruno Petzai
like Hamlet
guy.
loved his mama.
All the way back. Alisson looks one way, passes the other. Well, in some ways, this team may be as talented as those, but they still have to find that winning edge. They thought they had it in the last Euros, only to crumble in the knockout stage. Speaking of crumbling, down goes Coutinho. Soon to be 26 on Tuesday, lighting the candles before the World Cup tournament gets underway. Did not look as though Lindner had a chance to get there if that was on goal.
Brazil's defense as well held up nicely against Croatia. We're relying on Alisson a couple of times, who wasn't particularly sharp in that game, I felt. Spilled one or two from the Croatians, but again, clean sheet against the team. Phil, I watched that game intently and replayed it again the next day. Croatia, man, it's a team that could be a dark horse.
Just got away from Alaba. Casemiro slams it upfield. Meanwhile, for Brazil, just that one loss, a friendly, since Tite took over.
That's amazing. Say that again, Phil.
Just one defeat when Tite stepped in June 20th of 2016. They've won 16 and drawn 3.
It's been absolutely brilliant. He's the complete diametrical opposite of the man he replaced in Dunga. He's a little bit of touch of Harry in the night. He communicates with his players. He communicates with the press. And tactically, he's as Bendy is an elastic band. Look out.
Chance now in the middle. Arnautovic in a pocket of 5. Holds off Casemiro. Threads it forward, but the run never came from Shaw.
You need to be sprinting out like Carl Lewis there to get that one.
Told you, Ibra with attitude.
Lovely turn. Ibrahimovic never plays a ball like that.
Off to the near side. Keep an eye
His
on
passes down to a make run. Hey boys, Zlatan. So many wonderful players, of course, missing in the World Cup. We'll talk about that in a while. Look out.
Trailing run, Neymar, and he doesn't find him. Gabi Jesus across, headed back to the middle. Maybe a little too unselfish for Paulinho.
Well spotted, Phil. It was Neymar that needed that ball, pulled back to him, held in a wonderful little pocket of space, but not able to be found.
I want to touch on something you mentioned about Tite, and we were talking so much about the past. Austria with plenty of it, going back to the paperman, Mati Sindelar, back in the 20s. Tragic end to his life, but you look at what's been going on with Brazil in recent years, and it looked as though Jogo Bonito was dead. But credit to Tite, he's brought it back.
And picking up a nation, Phil, after ɪռᴜnᴇrɪᴅ, they lost that game so tragically against Germany in that 7-1 hammering. No country ever felt the wounds of football's cruelty than Brazil did on that wicked afternoon.
Transfer Brazil to get a bit of revenge. In fact, that is a possible final. Neymar with the heel kick, and then it gets stuck on the heels. A little spin from Grilic, but dispossessed. Into the area, knocked down at the edge. No, says Kasai. Well, it'll be a throw-in for Brazil.
Lovely ball from Coutinho. Beautiful turn, an invention. There's the robbery right here through the legs. Coutinho. It could be called a foul. Does he come through the player before he gets the ball?
That could have also been a foul against Dragovic.
There you go. So tit for tat.
Stepping in, Paulinho keeps it alive. Neymar kissed off William.
Beautiful.
Back to Neymar into the area, trickles through, and Lindner pounces.
You lucky people with your fancy schmancy machines, hit that replay button. Enjoy it again. Wonderful. One-touch football is perfection. And this one comes down close. Then it comes to the magic man with that iconic number 10 shirt. You've got to be a good player to wear the 10 for Brazil. And you've got one in the great Neymar. I think Tite there, a little upset that Neymar didn't perhaps step through with a good red-hot crack at goal after that wonderful build-up. Felt as if he could dance his way through.
I think back to Brazil, Zagallo, before he became the assistant to Carlos Alberto Pereira. Pretty good manager in his own right. Tele Santana maybe the most successful in that golden age. Touched into the middle, Schlager pulls it back, dropped back to Baumgartlinger, lifts it in towards the corner, but the run never came. It had gotten to the point where even just winning was good enough for Brazil. You think about that 90-14, and it was the antithesis of the beautiful game, but they won. And it seemed as though if you even talk to the Brazilian fans, well, you know, it's not possible in the modern game to play attractive football anymore. So they went through the Luxemburgos, the Leaos, the Felipaos, Dunga, as you mentioned. But then Tite, well, he believed. He'd done it with Timão Corinthians. And now even on a bigger stage.
Sadly, no Dani Alves for Brazil. Ito coming in, but he ain't no Dani Alves, that's for sure. They'll lose a little bit more in the attacking prowess, for sure, in a big way. Defensively, they may be a little stronger, but you got to take the great PSG man any day. But this man on the ball going to be tested.
He's done well since stepping in here. Of course, you have to remember, was a role player, a bit player at Manchester City this season.
Well, it was that way for Real Madrid as well.
They did bring in the youngster Fagner. Well, not youngster, 28, but the newcomer Fagner.
Good player for me.
It looks like he's going to be in a supplementary role. Here's Marcelo.
Hey. Seeing there, Phil, this is the type of these last game friendlies are the ones that the coaches are a little bit more concerned about. The game, the World Cup starting next week, and the threat of injuries is going to be there. In a game like this, that they've got to go out and work hard against a very, very tenacious and well-organised red team.
Shot from distance, but he slips as he shoots, and Linder able to deny Neymar.
Brazilians, man, wants to see those whites of the goalposts. It's cabaret time. He's Lisa Manelli.
Control back for Dragovic. And last year on loan at Leicester, 27-year-old Vienna native. Well decoyed, well delivered. Shot out wide. Touch back to the middle, but behind the run. Austria wins it back. Baumgartlinger, the pirouette. Tucked back in for the Bayer Leverkusen man, upended, but he will win the corner.
Working hard to create any sort of opening. Austria, and this is good defending. Ball played in, and then right there, wrapped up in Селефин from Miranda.
Just a little bit of a push from Leiner. This one will swing in towards Alisson. Alaba drops it in. Out comes the Roma keeper. Could have grabbed it, but punches on the volley. But wide.
Schaub, the man, steps through this one and hopes for a Brazilian-type goal. Alisson comes out, fists of fury. Looked as if it could have been saved within his hands. It's not a bad effort in terms of his technique. 2 degrees of separation again. Nice ball, good lead this.
Neymar slides through 2, cutting over is Prödl to take him down.
So quick. So, yeah, he's right. It's going to happen. On and on and on. Great players live with it. Of course, Pelé in the 1966 World Cup, where the rules were a lot different in them days. He was macheted from all the teams the great Pelé played and ended up having to get carried off. The game's changed, it's been cleaned up, but his element's still there.
Ball rattles around, Grilic comes away with it, leaves for Arnautovic. Fast feed for Hinteregger and out wide for Alaba. Alaba drops it in, skips away from Arnautovic, and right on the goal line. Shot again, but he could not get there.
Arnautovic, that's the one that's most upset with this, and he should be. It's a beautiful ball played in. Take a look at this. He sees the run. The pass is exquisite, right into his area, and just that little touch from Silva takes it away from Arnautovic, and that's a tremendous ball from Alaba.
Marco's going to want to get another crack. He might not. Here they come again, up the middle. Grilic dishes wide. Best stretch here from Austria. Alaba, back post, Marcelo with the deflection for the throw.
Slaps this one in, a little bit lazy for me. That's a criticism of the highest order. Alaba needed to pick out Arnautovic there. A little bit hit and hope.
Wide really talked about it, but back at his more natural left back spot. Miranda drops it in. Liner wants it back, gets it back. Arnautović, but it deflects up and over.
Lovely build-up. The finish again isn't what he wanted. And it's not down to the defence this time. It's down to his poor technique in the end. The West Ham man calls for it and he just shanks it, drives it down. It's a hopping ball, to be fair to him, when it's pulled back right there. Had it been played red carpet pass, and he knows it. Wonderful. This German international in his day. Only played twice for West Germany, but what a job he's doing. This is a wonderfully reshaped Austrian side, Phil.
Stepped in at his beloved Sturm Graz. Did so well, Austria figured, why not give it a try? Looks like Ɪନିର୍ᴛᴇrɪᴅ has a few words.
For a majority of his playing career, wasn't he? Played for other teams as well, but he was a Leverkusen man predominantly. This new coach, Franco Foda. Beautiful.
Diving in, just trickles behind Jesus, no problem for Lindner.
I think Neymar want a more direct run there from Jesus. Standing up a little static, facing Neymar as he was running at him. Neymar looking for that elusive run into the box. It didn't come.
Arnautović harassing Casemiro, who retreats. Talk about Leverkusen. He closed his career at Sturm Graz, which is where he started his managerial career. And in fact, that's when Prödl moved up from the youth system to the first team in Graz. And so Foda relying on his former young phenom to be the anchor at the back for this new ᴜsᴜsᴛrɪᴜ.
And this Brazilian team played against England, and it was a three-man back that England performed with that day, Phil. Chiche admitted that that is his biggest worry, his biggest headache. His strategy hasn't been able to unlock a back three, which is somewhat surprising given the talent up front and in that midfield for Brazil, especially with the wing-backs like this man. But it's continuing to prove frustrating so far in this game.
Marcelo's cross deflected away, right back into the midfield. You look at the teams that they will be facing. Switzerland, which can go back three, but tends to be a little more staid.
Absolutely.
Costa Rica does play with a back three.
That's right.
Slapped just wide by Lindner.
Wow, beautiful razzle-dazzle from Coutinho. Again, Brazilians, man. Weights of the goalposts. Red-hot crack. Beautifully directed. Doesn't quite get the pop off it, but it's a beautiful bouncing ball, and that's a good save by Heinz.
Well, plays in Switzerland for Grasshopper, and he needed to be a Grasshopper that time. 20 minutes left, opening half.
Been saving that one, haven't you?
Out wide for Willian. To the 18 he goes, staying with them is Schlager. Under pressure, Neymar makes it disappear. Chipped back too high by Paulinho. Jesus continues to get the call in front of Firmino. And it looks like that will be the case, at least at the start of the World Cup. Talked about Neymar providing a spark as Schlager steals it away. It's a two-man break.
Well covered again from Canarino.
Arnautović. Body down, draws the foul against Casemiro.
Look. Yeah. arms coming in. Had he not raised his arms there, he might have been able to body check shoulder to shoulder for a ball that was just out of Ivanović's range. This is dangerous. Alabā's delivered some wonderful pixel-perfect passes into the area. He's got a lovely inviting area for these Austrians to take flight.
ɪİrᴜnᴇrɪᴜ playing the target man in front of the charge. Here comes Alaba.
Good ball.
Drives it in, a diving header.
A little bit more height on it there from Alaba. That would have been the medicine.
Lindner.
No goals. Tremendous, cracking game.
There's a bit of a World Cup air to it, which is what Tite wanted. Down goes Neymar. Be nice to get a goal or two, be nice to get a win, but Tite wants to, more than anything, avoid an injury.
It's that rhythm, wants that confidence in Neymar. I want a little bit.
Well, this is a concern down at the other end. Alisson. Now, they do have a rather good goalkeeper in his own right, the 24-year-old Ederson, who was phenomenal at Manchester City this year, but just one cap. He's the backup here today. Alisson earning his 26th cap. The heir apparent in goal.
Looks like he's going to be okay,
serious,
though. It's nothing to be overly concerned about. He's already told the referee, okay, just need to be given a little bit of a look here. He's all right.
Maybe just a little twinge. And again, you don't want to
exactly
get injured.
Where that took place either. Maybe he came down on it with a little roll of the ankle, and sometimes that can be just a little, as you say, Phil, just a twinge. He's done the right thing, still feeling it a bit.
This will be a sign, as they will let him put this into play. Just like with Germany, where you have a Ter Stegen backing up a Neuer, it's nice to have Ederson available if something does happen to Alisson. Heading to the 30th minute. .64% possession for Brazil, but each team with 3 shots. I'll flip down that line. Liner wanted to have a go, but it's cleared away for the throw.
His first cap, isn't it, for Liner?
7th.
Oh, excuse me.
Late bloomer, though. 25-year-old from Salzburg. Parried free. Baumgartlinger lets it run. ɪİrᴜnᴇrɪᴜ, Alaba. Touched back by Schlager, but he was impeded. Another Salzburg man.
Good turn.
Baumgartlinger.
Ivanović, had he been brave enough to play, that's another sweet pass.
Shot. Alaba headed down, still in danger. Bounces off Danilo. Won by Schlager, but they're going to say he fouled to get it.
Now Danilo really cost his team here. Shows way too much of the ball to Schlager. And the youngster, 20-year-old, as you said, Phil, steps through. He has a little bit of a hiccup in its side, right on the top of his foot. No intention. Unfortunately, Danilo feels the cleats through those gloves that they wear in their feet now. Would have been cleaner with his first touch, though.
Alaba takes a little weight off. Schlager thought Arnautovic would already be upfield. The stadium opened way back in 1931, and you can still see some of the remnants, the track still surrounding it, but a lot of it's been upgraded. Chance Arnautovic tries to sneak it in. Casemiro back, senses the pressure and smartly plays the deflection for the goal kick.
ᴰ he was impeded there. So sure, Austria step in and dispossess the Real Madrid lad. Austria certainly showing enough of their teeth in the attack. They need to be a lot more clinical with their final pass, their final attempt towards Alisson's goal. But so far so good for Austria.
Their next competitive action will be
Nicely.
as Gabriel Jesus goes wide for Paulinho. Haven't seen much of the Brazilian mid today. Willian wants it back, stepping in Prödl. Now it's Paulinho. Whips it across. Prödl again.
A better run there by Jesus.
ɪռᴜnᴇrɪᴅ.
Slippery run into the area. And Paulinho trying to find him with that square ball. And there you see him. Jesus seeing great ball, pal. Magic.
Chance at the edge of the 18, going wide, but Marcelo, but he wins it back. Tries to drive it across, and Dragovic with a sweeping tackle.
Tremendous positioning from Alexander. Leicester City man just coming up, reading it with his body one way and stretching it. This is beautiful football. The first pass out of the back from Miranda was a line breaker. Then Marcelo comes back, and there's that reach with his body and the extension of his legs the other way by Alexander Dragovic.
Neymar from the corner. Near post header, but Silva can't turn it in.
Well, he's usually pretty immaculate with these types of headers. Knows just how much, yeah, you cannot believe this one. It's not an easy header, but more often than not, PSG man can take that flight and the spin into consideration and just glance it towards target. Difficult header, though.
Into the center, nice pirouette from Alessandro Schopp. Arnautovic again, dropping back to the midfield. Alaba, Arnautovic, Alaba, Arnautovic, Alaba, but it's just too far afield. Nice layoff in the middle, Coutinho, up
Beautiful
forward,
football.
Paulinho.
Good change of feet.
Gabriel Jesus, wide right.
Got targets.
Sees Neymar, finds Neymar. Double team, down he goes in the box, loose, shot, deflects and rolls just wide. Paulinho inches away.
Magical football from the Canarino here. And I hope we don't just see the final pass, because way before this, it was scintillating football before it even got to Jesus' feet. Neymar tries to dance his way through a corral of players, and it falls to the Barcelona man, who sees his good effort denied by Heinz. But that was brilliant football from way back from Brazil.
Brilliant. Blocked away by ɪռᴜnᴇrɪᴅ. Back for Marcelo from distance. Trickles wide. Onside. Gabriel Jesus. And he's cracked the dam.
Clinical and surgical. There's a surgeon's scalpel here. They pounce on opportunity and they milk that cow dry. This is a beautiful finish from the Man City lad. It's a wonderful control, the red-hot spank, and then fortunately it falls to him. There's a big question of an offside here, but who does it come off? Let's take a look. Can't see from that angle, but he controls it beautifully, and that is absolutely perfection. He forces his skill over the ball here, and that is just divine.
Take another look. He is offside by about 4 yards at the time of that shot. And as it deflects in The flag stays down. Oskar Lehmann, the Hungarian assistant on the near side. Now it will count here, but with video review in the World Cup, it wouldn't. Kind of interesting. Victor Kasai, by the way, a little bit of video review history. The first referee to go to the tape and call a penalty. That was back in the Club World Cup 2016, but not today.
Well, wonderful storytelling, Phil. And can we talk about the piece of magic on the finishing, please? Because that should be applauded with thunderous, bleeding hands. That was a tough angle for Jesus to identify. And he sees his goalkeeper thinking, I've got the angle covered. But Jesus bends light with this beautiful caress into the side netting. Beautifully delivered goal. Like you said, question marks about the legitimacy of the strike with the offside rule. And you're right, Phil, the VAR thing is going to throw up a lot of controversy, and Schopf telling him he should have went to the ref and said, no, I was offside. He says, yeah, right.
Just leaving it in a bit. Maybe a message sent, but the referee sends one of his own. 24-year-old from Schalke. What a story they were this year.
From Neymar there, and he's seen it throughout all of his career. You know, it's a contact game. In the old days, he'd stand up to that, and Neymar elevates himself basically when he's sensing that contact and makes it look like it's more severe than it was.
All the way across, but just behind. Now take another look as this ball goes out for an Austria throw. Go back to the goal from the time of Marcelo's shot. Now you take a look at the assistant on the near side, and he was not in line with the defender and seemed to be shielded by Willian.
For sure. And it comes off Paulinho.
And again, if you are an assistant, you can only call what you see.
Ball. That's a beautiful goal. Absolutely takes the length of Linda's fingernails into account, and the planets and the moon, and sends it lovingly.
Well,
that was a Ronaldinho type of goal, and I cannot give a higher lauding and admiration of it.
10th goal in just 17 games for the young Gabriel Jesus.
Can we talk about some of the great Brazil players of the past? Can we, Phil?
I think we might be able to.
Ronaldinho, one of them. Ronaldo, Romario, Zico, Socrates.
Chance up the middle, met by Coutinho, but down Linder again. Fourth save.
This one's all power with no direction. A bouncing ball, lovely feed. This, that's immaculate from Jesus. Sees his direction, locks his focus on it. Beautiful little dished off header, but Coutinho just cannot find the angle and use the uprights of the goalpost as his reference point, and it's easy pickings for Heinz Linder.
Well, when you talk about Brazil, Ray, and especially around the World Cup, you have to talk about Pelé.
Oh, forgot about Pelé.
77 goals officially for the national team. Neymar now at 54, and Neymar is still just 26 years of age. Half his career in front of him.
Remember playing against Pelé. He played for the Cosmos, and they beat us 3-0. Pelé had an absolute nightmare that day and scored a hat-trick.
Slotted in, Gabriel Jesus, bodied away by Prödl. There is no bull in a china shop on this Brazil side.
Talk about a heavy shirt. There's none in all of world football heavier than that yellow shirt. When you talk about the likes of Socrates and Zico and on, Jason,
especially with the number 9 and the number 10 on the back.
I can keep going through all the numbers, Phil. You really can. They all have legends to live up to their past. Carlos Alberto.
One of my favorites.
Wonderful, yeah.
Zico.
Yep. I think I mentioned Zico.
All the way out far side.
Jairzinho was one of my early favorites. And that run to set up the great header from Pelé in Mexico's 1970 World Cup. And another one of my teammates, Gordon Banks, says to Pelé, nah, what a save that was.
You wonder, because arguably what should have been the greatest World Cup of Pelé's career was the one in which he played the least. 62, scored maybe the goal of his career, and then was kicked out of the cup, as you pointed out. That was back in the days where the defenders could literally paint a target on your back.
Sure.
And your ankles.
66 was no different. Hacked down. It's the only way to stop them. And in those days you could get away with a lot of it. But it was brutal. The treatment Pelé got in that World Cup in England.
You think about Neymar now. In some ways,
did I mention Garrincha?
You did not, but I know Wilf would have.
Oh, what a player.
Dad's favorite player, if I recall. People criticize Neymar for lack of a better word, flopping. In some ways, it's a defense mechanism. Draw the referee's attention, try and get a little extra protection. But you wonder, would Neymar have survived back in the 50s and 60s? Or is he just the perfect talent for the perfect time? William.
Good feet. Beautifully. Look at the way they get out of jail, man. When you press onto them, it's gonna need all of that. There's another emerging trait of modern football is the press, and you'll probably see there's much of that at this World Cup coming through. But if you play through the press, man, it opens up a whole kaleidoscope of options if you've got the players. This team in yellow do. And they live up to all that expectation. It's not going to be easy in that group. Switzerland first, then Costa Rica with Kilo, and Serbia. The last game.
Miranda. Again, calm under pressure.
What a ball. What a beautiful pass. Nicely.
Dances around the challenge in the midfield, scoops it forward. Gabriel Jesus just clatters into the back of the Austrian defender. Hinteregger down.
Scintillating football again. Hologram football from Coutinho. He is a hologram. Look at this for a pass as well. Brazil! Wonderful in its failure. All the passing lanes shut off in the 3 dimensions, but not in the Brazilian 4th dimension. They can dip in and alter everything. Unlucky. Nice play. Play it again. Shop.
Just the 1 minute added out wide for Alaba. 1-0, the goal for Gabriel Jesus on what appeared to be a clear offside, but entertaining first half and maybe an equalizer. Arnautovic, but he couldn't bring it under control.
Again, he's been unlucky here, and he curses deaf heaven with his bootless cries. Lovely ball over the top from Dragovic, and right there, could he have just swing with that right foot? Here's a lovely look at this brilliant pass from Alexander.
Silva, a little push, but you're not going to get that call.
Right, just enough again in the contact.
1-0 at the half.
But this is a wonderful pass and nearly the equaliser in a game that's been full of good tension. Great dress rehearsal for Brazil, and that man's finished. Exactly what Neymar does. See, that's educating your kid. Well, this team still got the blank against Austria, and that is one of the more unsung aspects of this Brazilian team, Phil. And it's pretty amazing that in the calendar year of 2017, Brazil conceded less goals in that year than in their entire history as a footballing nation, conceding just 4 goals in 11 matches. No Brazilian team's ever done that before. So for all of the hoopla, deservedly so, for his team being stardust attackers as they always are, and more additions than not, don't get excluded. That's defensively they have proven to be pretty impervious. And then you look at the point of the pyramid where the real jewels shine, and again, how lethal was he when the door opened for him. He has had such an amazing effect with his assistance.
ᴫᴜsᴛrɪᴜ looking on. Some say he might be the guy to step in and replace Tite should he move on. Some of the rumors about a move to Real, maybe to try and prime the pump for Neymar himself as a player.
Yeah. Man with a gentle touch with the squad, so that would fit in with Real Madrid's prerequisites.
Victor Kasai getting us underway. Brazil with the lead in the yellow and the blue, defending the goal towards the right. The red and white of the Austrian Mannschaft moving from left to right. Good first half for the home side.
Mannschaft, of course, Austria beat Germany just a few weeks ago in an impressive win. And then again, it's really sweet football of breaking the lines the Brazilian way. There's such tiny windows nowadays in between these defensively constructed sides that Austria is somewhat like, but they've shown that they've got a nice flair about them, trying to find the big bad boy up top in Natovic.
Liner forward, Schopp tries to sneak it through. Marcelo pinching in, but clears it right back to Austria. And as we mentioned, they are 5-0 in the 5 friendlies that Foda has led Austria. And, well, there is a victory against Luxembourg in a homegrown Slovenia squad, but they shut out the hosts in Russia and edged Uruguay 2-1 in addition to that victory over Germany.
Wow.
And given Brazil all they can handle. Too little too late for 2018, but maybe 2020.
Wonderful Marcelo.
Sneaking it through, but on the wrong shoulder of Jesus. Nice ball, Dragovic. All the way back to Victor.
For Brazil, of course, is the emergence of the 10, starting to look like he's rediscovered his fitness and his wonderful creativity. So that's good stuff from Neymar. Casemiro reaching through Schlager. I thought in lifetime it was a good challenge.
Soft touch from Arnautovic to Schlager. Take another look.
Does he come from the side? Does he get all of the ball? Maybe simultaneously he just clips Schlager, but you can understand his response. Very close.
Arnautovic, see that wrist that is still with a cast on it. Talk about that in a moment as Alaba bounces it through. It was towards the end of the season with Watford. Ended up getting stepped on, broke a bone during West Ham's defeat at Watford, and actually told David Moyes, even with the broken arm and the swelling, don't take me out. Nice to have a player like that. Be nice to have a player like that also in Neymar.
This team's going to be fun to watch in the UEFA Nations League coming.
What do you think about that?
Up there. Good.
It's a lot of friendlies that will mean something now, but it would mean less matches like this offside, because so many of those international dates will be gobbled up inside their federations or confederations.
Aren't you lamenting that, all those meaningless friendlies? I agree with this. If they're going to play it, make it for a prize, make it for some prestige. There's always those international friendlies. Another one? And I think the management and the players themselves will have a better attitude towards that tournament.
Nice little slip forward, but over comes Silva.
What do you think?
Well, from a big European perspective, I don't think it means much difference. If anything, as you point out, maybe it saves on travel. But if you're in the Americas, and just think about this from a South American perspective. Nice little foot change here from Liner, but he can't find a teammate.
Nothing inside of the box either.
It's pretty much more matches against the same teams, because a lot of the other confederations are starting to go with Nations Cups to fill in the gap. But if you're a team like the United States and you want to challenge a Brazil or a Germany, there won't be as many opportunities, because you're going to be playing St. Lucia and Barbados.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Might want to learn how to beat them.
Exactly.
6th minute of the second half. Miranda now at Inter. Like Casemiro from Sao Paulo, burst onto the scene at Atleti, did the Brazilian captain. Took him a while to actually get his first cap. Now he's up to 47. And he's knocked out David Luiz and keeping Marquinhos at bay. The header on the wrong side of Arnautovic. Silva does well. Casemiro leaving it
nicely.
Trying to lift it forward. Baumgartlinger, but it gets away.
Needed to pull out his blunderbuss here rather than a little dagger pass. Got a wonderful ball hopping up in front of him. Not much ahead of him. Little shot shy. It's a lovely touch. And again.
Eludes Hinteregger. Out wide Willian into the 18. Two tackles come through.
Fabulous again by Draganovic. Absolutely wonderful. Dragovic again. Wonderful player. Here today showing how wonderful he's performed for Leicester City.
And Paulinho trying to say it's just a friendly.
Well, it's desperate defending as well, and he's got to reach in. Skips the leg fantastic there. Paulinho, Willian off like a teenager on a hot rod, and then again Dragovic steps in and says you shall not pass, and that's a little bit overly zealous. And he's right, Paulinho. Now, absolutely right. It should be a yellow card, was it not?
Was not. Loose in the center circle.
Hacks through from a good player.
Baumgartlinger wins it back. Grilic into the center for Arnautovic. Serbian dad, Austrian mother, but grew up in Vienna.
Got a reputation for being a bad boy, but he says that his daughter is bringing him into check. Daddy, you can't be doing that. And Dragovic said that pressure from his daughter has cleaned up his act substantially. Well done.
Wide liner. Got a start at Salzburg in the youth system, and now back for liner. Out for the Austrian throw-in. Almost an Iceland-like clap starting to build. Sloppy on the touch, but Danilo returns the favor.
Again, at times Danilo touched like an anvil too many times for a Brazilian player.
Again, you think it's just the right back.
Touch.
Photo going into the back, and he's in the book. In the World Cup, those positions can turn into an Achilles heel.
Well, I said it in the early parts of this game, and Silva having words with the referee. The last game of these friendlies, exhibitions, is what the coaches are really have their hearts in their mouth, and he knows he can't lose him to challenges like that from the back, where the ball is played and Prudl comes through, machete out of the jock strap, and they need to cool it. The red shirts, we've seen it a number of times. Understand that they're looking at it as a real competitive game, but more respect, and it's got to be dictated by this referee, and he's producing the yellow cards, but doesn't seem to be quelling the flames too much.
Well, as you saw the tifo before the match, we are the fire, they say. Well, that little push out as Coutinho's still down, and now it looks like the Brazilians think Austria may be a little too hot.
Schops is saying that he makes more of it than it needed to be, but the real reality of it is that Schopp comes through trying to reach a ball, and in regular games, in regular league play, and Paulinho coming through again, you say this is out of order completely, and this referee needs to get probably the red card out sooner than later. This team in red have got nothing to play for, and this team is the favourite for the World Cup, and I understand that they don't give a damn about that, but they need to be a little bit more considerate.
Professional courtesy.
Yeah, right.
Like sharks and lawyers. Under pressure, Miranda peels away, though. Sloppy pass out. Now Austria trying to get on the break. At the same point, from an Austrian perspective, trying to impress the new man
Absolutely.
in charge.
It's a fair point, Phil. I understand it all. And the Brazilian players do as well. They've played, it's 56 minutes before they've really ganged up on this referee and said, okay, enough. But as you say, I think there's a competitive nature, and then there's a bit of a broken bottle edge, and that's what we've seen in the last few minutes from the challenges from Austria. They're frustrating again, trying to get the ball from these Brazilians. What else can we do? They could say it.
Oh, what through the middle, almost there, but
what a ball from Marcelo. Again, you people with your machines, take a look at that. That's a brilliant ball from Marcelo.
Arnautovic battling Miranda, even with the broken arm, helping his opponent to his feet.
No, that's nothing to Miranda. It's Internazionale, man. Started his Brazilian trek with Cordoba.
Changes starting to come in, and for Austria, Stefan Hierlander and Guido Bergstaller will check in. Hierlander for Schopp, the 27-year-old from Sturm Graz. And Schlager to be replaced by the 29-year-old from Schalke. 19th cap for Burgstaller. Spent some time at Cardiff before heading to Germany. Just the 2nd cap for Hierlander. Former Salzburg and Leipzig man. And again, Sturm Graz, which is back in Foda's neck of the woods. Six subs, 4 to go, and still awaiting our first for Brazil. You'd imagine some players like a Neymar might be wrapped up in wool. Others, like a Jesus, to give Firmino a chance. Apology accepted from the Austrian captain.
I couldn't agree with you more, Phil. A game like this, damage already done. I think TJ has seen enough of the rhythm and the fluidity and the danger from his team. Well offside, and I think he'll start to bring some of his diamond players off protection mode.
Just on the turn, maybe.
Close.
Brazil now making its first 2 changes. Marquinhos the first. The PSG defender coming in for his club teammate, Thiago Silva. And then the other, Fernandinho, he'll slide into the midfield. And it will be Casemiro who exits. So Marquinhos' 26th cap for the 24-year-old. Well, Fernandinho gets appearance number 44. The 33-year-old from Man City.
Just in the exits there, you see the respect and the appreciation for this coach from the Brazilian players, Phil. Don't underestimate that. This is a true team, all on the same page and singing the same song for their coach.
Willian almost gets a second bite at the apple. Miranda over. Here's Marquinhos. And if Danilo does struggle, remember Marquinhos has played a bit of right back himself.
Yeah, nicely flexible, but to the point of that response from this Brazilian side for one another, for the team performance. The star power is evident in a lot of teams, Phil, but it's the team. It's always the collective.
Coutinho, a roller.
And it's always going to be the team that has that I believe is going to be the most successful. It was personified at the last World Cup with Germany, who had nowhere near the star power of a lot of the teams. The dependability on one player, or even 2 or 3. In Argentina's type of example, how much of a test is that going to be? The team collective is truly, in tournament competitions, absolutely imperative. Brazil seem to have both the star power, the collective, the coach, the style of play, the threat. It seems to be all there. We'll see if it's enough.
Touch inside, laid back for Arnautovic, chipping it in, but didn't quite get enough bend. Marcelo there. Odo taking some weight off. Beautiful turn, Baumgartlinger. Laid off top of the box, trying to come back to it, Hierlander. But now there's some space opening up. Paulinho in, sliding in Dragovic.
Wonderful run from Neymar, just couldn't get the accuracy there.
Willian with Neymar.
Does here.
Neymar. Oh! He makes the defense disappear and then slots it through Lindner for Brazil's second. What a goal from Neymar.
Witchcraft is what it is, Phil. Brazil at his best. And he will love this. What a confidence booster from the glitter bomb that is Neymar. Again, somebody should set this goal to the raid of the Valkyries, because it is phenomenal. Take a look, the pass doesn't get through from Paulinho, but then Willian sees the open invitation in the back post. Watch, we skip the light, fantastic. He absolutely sends a defender off balance just by looking at him. Take a look at this. Dragovic, his knees turn to water. Hocus pocus from Brazil. And again, somebody get a sparkle count on that genius. And then in the end, the finish is as cool as a polar bear's backside from Neymar Jr., the PSG Koh-i-Noor diamond, and the hope for Brazil, the pure inspiration. What a goal.
Somewhere Jerome Boateng gave a shudder. 55th goal for Neymar. Choked up about it. Now tied with Romario. Not bad company. Behind only Ronaldo and Pelé in the all-time Brazil scoring list.
Again, the style points from this man.
And there's more of them. Out wide, 4v2. Willian, the back heel. Paulinho denied by Lindner, and Proto sweeps it clear.
Wonderful build-up. Again, rabbit hole attack. Again, too many burrows to cover. Wonderful consideration again. Magic from Willian, and the step through is right down Main Street. Just kind of get the angle away from the goalkeeper with his first time touch. But the build-up, tremendous again from the Canarino, who are playing like a bird of paradise.
Peter Jules checking in. 25 years of age, his birthday yesterday, and a gift, a chance to suit up against Brazil. Steps into the midfield for Grealish. Quick touch into the middle. Jules keeping it alive.
Good example of Coutinho dropping back in defence. It wasn't classic defending, because that's not what he's about, but his nuisance value and his willingness to respond to a counter-attack that will please Tite. Look at these players coming in.
Felipe Luis will be checking in for Marcelo. What a comeback by the Atleti defender with a broken leg late in the season. And Marcelo,
Phil. A wonderful Marcelo. Again, you saw the sparkle come out at the apex of his game still. Look at this. And don't underestimate it. There is a togetherness and a tightness with this group. Is it going to be enough when you blend in the magic? The likes of this man coming in for that man. Like for like in a lot of ways. Not in their manner of football, but in the brilliance within their football and feet and brain. The divine connection, Phil, of the eyes to the brain to the beautiful feet.
Into the area, touch back, top of the box, Willian. Finds Coutinho, but Austria gets it back. Not to be lost in the shuffle in that Neymar goal. The man that many would look at this Brazilian side and say, you know what, what's he doing out there? Willian finds a way.
Well, there's been people that we know complain about the lack of end product with Willian from his Chelsea days, but not for me. He fits in hand in glove, but Tite got a lot of considerations to go with. Picking the team from this Aladdin's cave of jewels, not easy. Willian pulls on that yellow shirt. He's really got a lot to bring to the dance.
Austria unbeaten in their last 9 at home. It looks like that's about to go down against Brazil here, but more than a gutsy effort, an entertaining one, promising for the future. Looks like Brazil's future is now.
That's been a tremendous warm-up game, dress rehearsal for showtime, and look, they're in again.
Slotted forward for Coutinho, scrambling around and tucks it far post, leaving Austria in his wake.
Again, Coutinho. Wonderful in the identifying. He leaves the defenders with twisted blood. Wonderful pace, and the Chief likes that all right. Lovely back heel flick. The give and go is the Brazilian way, like a gazelle being hunted down by a stack of cheetahs. Roberto Firmino leads the line. Coutinho says, throw me the keys, pal, and I'll kiss this one home. Wonderful. Again, look at the nerve of a cat burglar from Coutinho. The Chief.
Well, I have a feeling all of the wine houses around have figured out how to make caipirinhas. Either that or the Brazilians might just take over the bar. But the party starting in Vienna. Kevin Danso, the Ghanaian Austrian, born in the Vienna region, getting a chance, just his 6th appearance as Austria clears the bench. Paulinho out wide. Firmino wants it. Willian dispossessed by Sul.
Wins it back and wins the ball. Focus, commitment, brilliance, organisation, skill, flair, tenacity. This team showed it all in their final warm-up, so Switzerland knows something wicked's coming their way in the opener in Russia.
Is there a team that can beat this Brazil?
What, in that group?
In this tournament?
Well, of course.
Remember, this Austria just beat Germany.
Yeah, but still, tournament football on any given day is the game. You've seen what happened with Portugal, for example, in the Euros. Did it in a different way, but went through and caught a wave. Momentum built is a big, big part of any tournament football. So it all depends, but given the shape and the look of this Brazilian side, they're favourites. They're clear favourites over everybody. And it's understandable why. It's not just the talent, it's the way they have progressed in the South American qualifiers. They were indomitable, they were unstoppable. And with every hurdle and challenge that they have met, again, I go back to that Croatia game, Phil. That Croatian team pressed them like demons. And it could have been a little different of a result, but it wasn't. Croatia pulled out a lot of their starring players before the goals went in, I believe. My memory serves. So, on an off day against the right team, it's football, man. And the road to a World Cup championship is treacherous. Argentina thought they had it all last year, lost a couple of players in the final. Aguero, Maria, and proved a bridge too far for even the best player in the world in Lionel Messi to carry them over the line. It's Rubik's Cube, but he has a real answer to all the questions, so we're all looking forward to it. But this Brazil team, again, answer any questions. They are ready.
He's leaving Neymar out there for a while. Firmino Paulinho bursts into the 18, tries to play it square, and the newcomer Danso parries it away.
Good covering. The industrious Paulinho, ex-Corinthians man, of course, in his great Brazilian days. Won the Libertadores with them before going elsewhere. But he's been tremendous for Barcelona in his own way. Such
Brazil.
Energy, Phil. And
Neymar.
late arriving runs open things up.
Oh, Coutinho. He saw it in his eyes, but he couldn't find the net, missing it by the thickness of the post.
Seen him identify this so many times. He does it his way. It's all placement and it's all brilliant. Wonderful skill, visionary football, lynx eye vision, and then the touch of the ball, soft as a mother's kiss at bedtime.
And linked lynxes with Neymar. Ball touched back. Brazil in Group E. That means their first knockout stage match would be against Group F. Unlikely to see them finish second, although you never know. If they do, that could mean a showdown against Germany again. A little too early for Brazilians' likings. If they do finish in first place, that would mean the likes perhaps of a Mexico or a Sweden, maybe a South Korea.
Well, nicely framed, Phil, and that's why they will be fully focused and locked in to winning the group entirely.
Play on. No foul, says Kasai. Willian. Firmino once. Looked wide, Danilo. In for Firmino, but a lunging tackle by Poto, and he's starting to cramp up.
And a lot of covering, a lot of chasing shadows. Big Sebastian, the Watford lad, as Coutinho exits after this wonderful piece of jackrabbit pace, and then the placement, just something to behold. Uses the old Jedi mind trick on the goalkeeper, Linda.
Tyson БрSōᴜsᴜnrɪᴜ, his 8th appearance, the 30-year-old from Shakhtar.
Better performance from Coutinho all around, Phil, from the last game at Anfield, where he was decidedly out of tune in many, many ways, but bounced back with a vengeance. And again, Tite giving the confidence to the players, not turning away from a player that probably needed a little bit of a boost after that Anfield game against Croatia.
This will swing in. Former Inter Porto Alegre winger drives it low. It's a second effort, but then Baumgartlinger touches back to midfield.
Impressive and as admirable as the Canarino have done, is a lot of pride from Austria that can be taken, especially in that first half, before the little bit of naughtiness that lasted only for 10 or 15 minutes before they started to put the sword back in the scabbard. They played some lovely football themselves, and with a little bit more support of Arnautovic up front, could have led to something else. But better days, brighter days ahead for ŝōᴜsᴜnrɪᴜ. Am I saying that right, Phil?
Well, these two teams have met in the World Cup before, back in '78. My beloved Hansi Krankel, as you pointed out, plus Petsai, Prohaska, etc. They some pretty legendary Brazilians in their own right. Roberto Dinamite scoring the only goal of that match. And then you go back into the 1958 World Cup. Altafini with a couple, and Nilton Santos scored the third. Will this be a legendary Brazil? And it might not be fair, but many times, especially with a history book as rich as Brazil's, you have to win to get in. Soft into the corner from Liner, trying to cut it back was ɪᴜᴛᴇrɪᴅ, but can't.
Well, after all the belly aching and the upsets and all of the crying from the likes of the United States and Italy and the Netherlands and some great African teams, in all due respect to them, not see Brazil at a World Cup, I think they may cancel the World Cup.
Almost.
Those iconic shirts, of course, those great colours. My days as a kid, 66, watching Garrincha. And then May the greatest World Cup in 1970, where arguably the greatest footballing team ever put together took place in Pele's 1970. Incredible championships. It was the manner of their football. You couldn't wait for the games to finish, to go in the park with your friends. My sister was kind enough to give me her yellow blouse and was happy to wear it. And man, you just wanted to be Pele, Phil. You just wanted to be. I even used to get a crucifix and a St. Christopher around my neck because all the Brazilians had these wonderful jewelries around the neck. It would pop out of that beautiful yellow shirt, and there was something special. Nowadays, it's very difficult to relate to because you are watching football from the stars that you never saw in your home country. But when you watch Brazil, you were watching the gods of the game play a football that was just divine.
Sliding into the center for ɪᴜᴛᴇrɪᴅ, long range, and Alisson tested.
His ankle's
taps
fine.
it over.
His ankle's fine. This is a stinger from distance. Beautiful strike.
Not bad for a guy with just one cap. ɪᴜᴛᴇrɪᴅ coming close to his first goal.
Absolutely wonderful technique. Lovely placement. That's dropping in under the bar in Alisson. 6'3" needed, agility of a cheerleader on a trampoline needed.
After the corner, almost got another, but still 3-0 Brazil. Wide for Stefan Liner. Baumgartlinger sweeps into the middle, but
well played.
Cruz did not hear the footsteps.
And a great ball.
Wide, Tyson, back for
Brilliant.
Neymar, drops for Firmino, and what a save by Lindner.
Brazil at their best, at their absolute shimmering best.
We'll show you the Brazil, but that's what happened after the initial ɪᴜᴛᴇrɪᴅ shot.
What was that about?
Because we missed it during the replay.
Oh, we needed to see that. I want to see that build up to that incredible kaleidoscopic football from the Canarino. Again, it's bewitching, bewildering, and it almost led to the best goal of the game. Are you sure that Linda saved it, Phil? I think he did with the outstretched boot, but at first I thought it might have struck the upright. But what football!
Well,
again, it's not just Brazilian coffeehouse tricks, people. It's with an intention of stripping and opening you up with the Brazilian way. The back heel flicks, the touches, soft as a lover's kiss, the running off the ball, the identifying of it all. They've been magic.
I used to say Brazil was everyone's second favorite team. That might be shortchanging them, except perhaps for Argentina.
Yeah.
Laid back again. Neymar winds to the 18. Portal does well, guiding his clearance Arnautović. He's still out there. Drives it, switching fields, but just too far.
There's a lad watching called Greg Madison. I just want to send out my love to you, Greg. Him and his girlfriend, Sammy, will be applauding this. They love the game, and they will be smiling. Greg, I know you've been through a tough time, but this will cheer your heart to some degree. So good luck. Keep your chin up, man.
Douglas Costa, who is coming back from an injury, getting a chance to get a run out with Neymar exiting. Played the second half.
Played
their last time out.
Played the second half.
Lit the world on fire in the second half in his return.
Thank you.
And today, 84 minutes of even more effervescent football.
Well said, Phil. Well said.
Costa getting his 25th cap, the 27-year-old from Juve. Another player out of that Shakhtar pipeline. On the turn, Schul sneaks it inside. Cutting back, Burgstaller. Flipped to the middle by Baumgartlinger, but there was no one there. Now Willian with his foot on the accelerator. Tyson thought about it. Dishes wide. Firmino back. And cleared before William can shoot. Just like the old days.
It's a great run from Tyson, wasn't it? Wonderful alacrity. And the ball tattooed, all smiles. They've tasted the bitterness and the shock of football as well. And I keep saying it, that Germany undressing is seared into their brains, and they will remember it. And it will be doing the rounds in the locker room at some point before every game. Never again. We will see.
And in some ways, getting into some debates about the decision to exclude David Luiz. Not that he would be a starter, and maybe not even the first defender off the bench, but with all that he brings to the table, they decided to go with Pedro Jeromel instead. And you almost wonder if it's because every time they look at David Luiz, they think 7-1. So maybe nothing against him, just take that out of the equation. Regardless, the defense with another shutout bid here today. Arnautović to the inside, whacks from distance, and almost sneaks it in.
The hammer unloads. Wonderful skip here. Fabulous technique. It's the snap right here. And a wonderful directive that really tests Alisson, who might have had it covered had it been on target, and that's an even bigger compliment to him, because Marco was really like Zorro there. Wonderful rapier hit, combining sledgehammer power.
Stolen again in the midfield. Brazilian class showing on the day, but I think Foda still with some promise. Just a while before they get a chance to do it for real. Offside against Arnautović. Gabriel Jesus scoring in the 36th, Neymar the 63rd, Coutinho the 69th. So it was still 1-0 at the hour mark.
Stayed the goal scorers, Phil, and behind that 3-0, there was so many beautifully constructed efforts. He's in again, he's off. But the combination play and the footballing IQ of these Brazilians at national fervour is backed up by just some of the best football you'll ever see. Arguable who is the best football strip in the World Cup. These shirts in yellow and that beautiful blue and white, so good, but oh, Peru as well, Phil.
They could be entertaining, although a bit of a struggle in their final game.
Yeah, they played well, though. Some very good football by Peru. And
taking on Sweden, who showed their defensive prowess.
Sure.
But again, it's not just defense, though, Ray. You talked about Brazil, but you could say in many ways this France side might be the most entertaining since the days of Platini. You look at Belgium as they are blossoming into their own. There's some teams out there who are playing the beautiful game the way it should be.
Well, and they do it their way. Again, I think these small nations in this World Cup, the smaller, more or less heralded teams, are going to be constructed very defensively.
Douglas Costa deflected, and Linder there.
But no matter what type of defense is thrown up, this team in yellow could get themselves into Fort Knox. And here's another example of how they do it. Oh, man. They're like marbles on a glass table coming at you.
7 saves for Linder, the 27-year-old. Just 19 caps. I have a feeling it's going to be his job for a while. 90th minute approaches. 15 shots to 6.
Well, as this game enters its final moments, an applaudable, impressive win by Brazil. There'll be tougher games to come. Even in their group, they will be thrown down some serious challenges from some very well organized teams defensively. How long can you hold on against this type of attack?
Well, Ian Linder has to be safe. Parries it over the crossbar.
Have they got the defense to back this Stardust football going forward? If you look at the records in your statistics, Phil, his team was as good as anybody in world football in qualifying in a defensive mode.
So Edu Gaspar, the coordinator, right next to Tite as that shot sails high. He's the one that helped put together this run of friendlies down the stretch and testing themselves against the likes of an Austria, Croatia, Germany, and Russia, and winning all 4. The only team that gave them more of a problem than many expected was England, and that 0-0 draw maybe giving English fans a bit of hope. It all starts for Brazil on Sunday, a week from today, against Switzerland in Rostov. Of course, don't forget, pretty big day also on Wednesday in Russia, where they will announce the host of the 2026 World Cup, and we've got a special show. So you'll want to stay tuned and go to bnsports.com for more. The final whistle from Vienna, and it is a good night for Brazil. 3-0 the final.
Franco Foto can be proud of the way his team played. In many regards, the version really threw down a gauntlet to Brazil, and Brazil